A member of this congregation, and I'll be your song leader this morning. Our Director of Music Ministries, Jay Tiefenbrunn, had unexpected surgery on Friday, and so she will not be here. And we are happy to welcome back to the conductor stand our former associate minister for music, Jason Shelton, who will be conducting the choir this morning. Please join me with our morning songs. We have two this morning. The first one is an old familiar one. It's in 1064 in the turquoise hymnal, Blue Boat Home. 1064. Please stand in body or in spirit as we sing. And still in the turquoise hymnal, number 1067, Mother Earth, Beloved Garden. We'll sing all 5 verses.
Thank you. Within you there is light, the same light as the source, the same radiance that is in all creatures. May this small flame be the constant reminder to you of your true nature and your kinship with all beginnings.
Beauty is before me, and beauty behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beauty. I am surrounded by it, I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty it is begun, in beauty it is ended.
All right, if children of any and all ages would like to join me up here, join me in my garden. Look at my beautiful flowers, y'all. I know we've got some more. Does anybody want to come down here? Hi. Sit. Get on down. So Jonah's going to show us pictures, and we are going to hear a story called Buddha in the Garden. So once upon a time, there was a really beautiful temple. And one day, the monks who lived there went to their gate, and outside they found a small bundle. It was a baby boy. The monks were not super excited about this. I mean, their whole purpose was to seek enlightenment, but they took in the baby boy and they cared for him. And he grew to live by the rules of the temple. The boy was not allowed to think of enlightenment. The monks had found the baby next to a flower. And so they thought this was a sign of the path he should take in life. So they made him the temple gardener. One day, the monks left the temple. They were going far, far away to seek enlightenment out in the world. And so all of them traveled except for two. They left the garden boy, and they left a blind old monk who spent his days sitting by the temple gate. Care of the garden is a really important responsibility. Do any of y'all help in the garden? Any of y'all? Well, it's true, we don't really have much gardening happen right now. but when there is gardening, what is it that you do in a garden? Pull weeds. You grow crops, that's true. You pull weeds. Do you water the plants too? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do in the garden, and so he had to do all of that. So the monks are gone, and he's pulling weeds, he's watering crops. Making sure he avoids the poison ivy. Avoiding poison ivy is very important. Oh, roses were my favorite. So the boy was taking care of the garden, even though the monks were gone. And one day when he was carrying water from the well so he could water his crops, he heard the whisper of a man's voice. Buddha is in the garden. Now he was really surprised because the only person that's in the temple besides him is the old man sitting by the gate, and he never talks to anybody. So he turned around and he said, "But master, I've tended the garden every day for 9 years and I have never seen or heard Buddha. I mean, perhaps I'm not worthy. Perhaps Buddha only shows up for people who are worthy like the other monks." But the man didn't say anything else. He just kind of sat there. And so the boy went to the garden. He's like, who knows? Maybe Buddha is here. So he looked under bushes. He looked behind a rose bush. He didn't see anything. He was alone in the garden. But he decided to sit down under his favorite flowering tree and meditate. So he sat there, legs crossed. You know the right way to meditate? That's right, legs crossed, and you put your palms facing heaven and close your eyes. And so he did that, and he began to dream. And in his dream, he saw a young woman against a crumbling wall. She hovers over a covered object, and she's protecting it and holding it in her arms. Her face is gaunt and her eyes are hollow. She looks really hungry. She's holding a package very tightly. And when the boy opens his eyes, he saw a small, starving kitten. And he was so surprised because he's never seen an animal anywhere in the temple grounds before. This kitten is so thin and so hungry and so lonely. So he took it in and he cared for it the way the monks had cared for him. So weeks later, he's carrying water again. He's weeding. He's taking care of his crops when he hears the words again, Buddha is in the garden. And he turns to the old monk and he says, last time you said that, master, I went and looked and I found nothing but a starving kitten who is admittedly cute. But what form will I find Buddha in? And the old monk didn't answer again. So the boy went back to the garden. And he went back to his favorite spot under the flowering tree next to the beautiful flower. And again, he dreamed. And this time, he dreamed of the young woman again, but she's coughing and she seems really sick. And the small bundle is lying on the ground at her feet. A heavy, lonely feeling came over the boy, and he heard some noises he began to open his eyes. But if you want to find out what he saw, you have to come back for the second part of our story, which is later. Thank you. We'll leave our kitty there.
Good morning. My name is Dara Gouch-Lewis, and I am a youth of this congregation. It is my pleasure to welcome you here in the sanctuary and those joining us online to worship this morning. In order to reach a wider community than those able to be physically present on Sunday morning, our services are live streamed on YouTube and Facebook. Joys and concerns are not live streamed or recorded. Before I continue, let me remind you to silence your cell phones. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation we have made a covenant together. We affirm our interdependence, celebrate our differences, and work for justice. We deepen our relationships as we create a compassionate, welcoming community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors worshiping with us this morning. We ask that you wear the paper name tags because it helps us recognize you as someone we'd like to meet. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you may find it here. Whether you are new to Unitarian Universalism or visiting from another UU congregation, we invite you to stop by the welcome table after the service to have questions answered. People become members of this congregation by signing the membership book and supporting the church with their time and finances. If you are considering joining the church, please talk to our assistant minister, Denise Gouch. Following the service, we hope everyone will enjoy coffee and fellowship in the social area, where you will also find information about current opportunities for engagement and reflection. There are a number of announcements in the weekly bulletin, which I hope you will take home and read.
I'd like to invite you to take a deep breath. Bring yourself even more fully present to this sacred space, to this gathered community, and to yourself. As you become more fully present to yourself, you may become more aware of those moments from the last weeks or days or hours that you bring here with you, especially those moments that have struck your spirit at its core. And if any of you have such a profound joy, concern, or sorrow that you'd like to make present to this gathered community, you're invited to do so. Our chaplain this morning, Holly Miller, will help you place a stone in this bowl of water that symbolizes our gathered community. And if you would like Holly or me to read of that joy or concern, please fill out one of these yellow slips of paper as legibly as possible and hand it to me when you place your stone. Thank you. these joys, concerns, and sorrows in your heart, as well as all those that are there silently on your lips in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love, we gather here this morning in joy for the beauty of the day, amazing flowers blooming everywhere in the greater world, in the gardens, and in our hearts, and on the lips and heads of our blessed young people. We gather together knowing that when we celebrate together, our joys are magnified. When we cry together, when we share our sorrows are supported and we feel comforted. And when we grieve together, we hold one another and keep each other safe. Spirit of life and love, may this understanding of our profound connections and gratitude for one another across the generations move out into the greater world. Just as the sun shines and the rain falls upon all, may our love and support and care also fall upon all, that we see all that we do not know, all that we can only imagine. Blessed be, and amen. At this time, our offering will be received. As many of you know, 1/2 of our cash offering is donated to mission that supports our mission, but outside of our walls. This month it's going to Habitat Humanities, support the house that we help build with an interfaith group of people in the fall. And we already got to meet the people who we built the house with last year. They're so thrilled to be in that home, and we will be doing that with another family this year. This is the last week of the month, so it's the last week we donate to Habitat. So if you've been waiting to donate to them, this is your last opportunity. And if you want to donate on your mobile device, it tells you how to do it in your order of service. And if you want to donate online, just look at the FUUN.org, and you can see instructions for doing it there. I want to thank you so much for your ongoing generosity.
Shelton. I am one of your affiliated community ministers, and thank you. I don't know what that's about. I've been away for a while, so okay. And I'm jumping in to help out with Jay being on the mend, and I didn't think it was fair that I was the only one who learned this piece last minute, so I'm going to teach you your part now. This is a mantra to the Hindu deity Ganesh, the remover of obstacles. And I think after a week of rain, removing of obstacles is not a bad thing. So there's a drone that's going to happen, and I want you to help us with this. And Holling's going to play these two notes on the Shruti box, the lovely new Shruti box. So if you can sing E or the A, or which way, that's the A, and that's the E. So whichever one you want, go ahead and sing those notes. You can just hum them. Now halfway through the piece, if you're singing the A, or that A, or that A, you're going to have to go up to a B. B. It's going to change. You're going to hear it change, okay? Now, if you want to go the advanced route on this, we can do some harmonic overtone singing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to sing, but you're going to go kind of put it out here, and you're going to and make sing re, re. And then we're going to cycle through all the vowels. If you go A, E, I, O, U, you're going to you can just kind of do that. But you want to do it softly so you can still hear the choir. But we're all participating in this. Okay. All right, that's enough. That's practice. Here we go.
off. You're right. The second time he saw something, he just had another dream about the mysterious woman. Yeah, and he was about to wake up because he heard some rustling sounds. And so, when he opened his eyes, there was a bird. A small bird was right next to him. It was trying to fly, but its wing was broken. So again, he took the bird to his room and he took care of it and he nursed it and he healed it. So over the next few weeks, the garden boy spent part of every day talking to the old monk by the gate. Hour after hour, he asked questions about life. He described the beauty of his garden. He took care of his little bird and his kitten. And he described every detail of his dreams so far. The beautiful woman, her hunger, her illness, and the bundle that consumes her cell. And finally, the old monk spoke again, and he said, "You have seen hunger and illness. Those are the first two signs. You will soon discover the third, and then you will find the enlightenment that you are seeking." So the boy was hoping this meant that he would see the mysterious woman again in a dream. So he rushed to his garden, but when he got to his favorite flowering tree, he noticed that the flower beneath it had wilted and died. It was hanging lifeless from its stem. And he wasn't surprised by this because every year the flower dies and is reborn, but the timing of it seemed really significant. So quietly, he sat next to the dead flower under his tree, and he dreamed again. And it wasn't long before the woman appeared, and in her smile, the garden boy recognized his own. And for the first time, she looked at him and she spoke. And her voice was soft and kind and caring. And she said, "I have longed to see you, my son. I've been here with you all these years, but now I must leave. You've seen hunger and you've seen illness, and you know now also that your flower has died, but it will live again. So you understand how we came to be apart, and this is the third sign, child. This is the key to enlightenment." And smiling tenderly, she took the boy into her arms and embraced him. And as he sank into her hug, the garden boy closed his eyes tight and vowed that nothing on heaven or earth would ever take him from this place or from this peace, because he felt so happy. The next day, the other monks finally returned to the temple. They had been out in the world looking for enlightenment. And as they approached the gate, the old monk spoke to them, and he said, "Buddha is in the garden." So the monks hurried into the garden, and under the flowering tree, next to the dead flower, they saw a statue of a beautiful, young, smiling Buddha. His legs were crossed, his palms were facing the heavens, and his eyes were shut tight. And there, the monks actually finally found what they'd been seeking, peace and fulfillment. And on the smiling Buddha's lap slept a tiny kitten and a small bird. And so the boy found his special place, and in his special place he found happiness. So I want you all to think, congregation and children alike, what's your special place? And what is it that you hope that you find there?
I turn to poetry when I need to escape, when I don't want to poetry anymore. I'm no Allan Poe, try to understand. I rarely make a foe, rarely need a hand. I don't ask for help if I can help it at all. I'd rather not bother, just take the fall. I'm never quite lonely, though often quite lonesome. I don't need a change to be shown some way out. That's not what I want, not what my life is about. No, my solitude comes often, but rarely often enough. Life has its hardships, life can be rough. I know that. I get it, I understand. So when I slap you away, don't extend the other hand. If I need help, I'll get it, though I appreciate the offer. My reserves won't run out. I've got plenty in the coffers. If I need help, I'll ask you, sincerely and in whole. I don't turn issues into problems. I don't keep digging the hole. I'll ask for help out if I need it, if I want it, if I have a problem and I know I can't solve it. Otherwise, just leave me in my pothole in the ground, barely deeper than a puddle, so I don't need you around. No need to trouble, no need to worry, but if I call you, please come running, I need you in a hurry. Perhaps disaster struck, or I'm just breaking down. Perhaps I've had bad luck, stuck wearing a frown. Perhaps this, perhaps that, perhaps is upright and center. Don't worry about the door, you're welcome to enter. Perhaps I'll be broken, crying on the floor, but maybe I'll be okay, waiting for you by the door. Either way, I need you, perhaps I always will. Because while writing is my meditation, people are my pill.
Isn't this such a beautiful night? Whoa, we're underneath 1,000 shining stars. Isn't it nice to find yourself somewhere different? Whoa, why don't you let yourself just be wherever you are? Look at this place, look at your faces. I've never seen you look like this before. Isn't it nice to find yourself somewhere different? Whoa, why don't you let yourself just be wherever you are? Look at this place, look at your faces. You're shining like 1,000 shining stars. Isn't it nice to find yourself somewhere different? Whoa, why don't you let yourself just be wherever you are? Why don't you let yourself just be somewhere different? Whoa, why don't you let yourself just be whoever you are? Thank you, Sarah, for that lovely music. So throughout our lives, we come to transition periods where one thing ends and another begins. Some of these are inner control, like starting a new job or moving cities, and some are not, like a family member dying. So how do we deal with these transitions? The internet will tell you lots of things, and most of them boil down to self-reflection and knowing yourself. Personally, I think meditation is a great way to do this, but maybe not meditation in the way you're picturing it. So let me walk you through a transition where meditation has helped me, graduating high school. The end of high school is one of the few stationary transitions in life. You know it's there and will occur. Some people graduate early, and more don't graduate at all, but for a majority of American children, the day of your high school graduation can be predicted down to the month from the time you start kindergarten. For a lot of seniors, the next step is college, but that doesn't narrow down the options of what to do next. How are you, all the hypothetical high school seniors, supposed to know what you want to do? Luckily, the college process is an intensely reflectional one, causing equal measures of clarity and uncertainty. For anyone who's not about to enter college or a current college student, let me give you some insight into how it goes. You do a lot of research, take a couple tests, enter an excessive amount of information about yourself, have a brief panic about your entire future, do more research, and finally write a ton of essays. Most more selective schools have a couple essays. Any scholarship will have an essay. Honors colleges have essays. Everything has an essay. These essays can be divided into 3 broad categories. Standard, like why do you want to go here? Simple, what books have you read recently? Write 100 words about an activity you do. And deeply self-reflective. For example, the essay I wrote that was most prominently in that 3rd category asked me to reflect on my role as a community member in the last 4 years and the legacy I hope to leave behind. So while initially reluctant to write self-reflective essays, I eventually found myself enjoying them. It was fun to be able to share my thoughts and experiences and have something specific to write about. These essays also helped me process things within myself, like why I like computer science, what similar interests I can trace back to elementary school, and what I enjoy about the sorts I do. Writing those essays helped me be more aware of what I cherish in my life right now, making me more appreciative of what I have and what I have to look forward to. When I was about halfway through these essays, I realized that they were basically a meditation on myself as I am now. I wasn't sitting still with my eyes closed or doing breathing exercises, but I was making myself more aware of the things going on around me in my mental state. How do we achieve this awareness later in life, though? It's not often 9 different places ask you what you want to do, why you deserve to be able to do that, what you like in your life right now. Please write a 150, 300, 650 word response, please. This is where other meditation and self-reflection techniques come in. If you write a journal, is that different from a college essay? Just like writing a college essay, journaling and writing down what you're feeling helps you look at everything in a new light and make connections you might not have before. But I don't really like writing, you say, or maybe I say to myself. I do enough of that in my regular life. Mindfulness and standard meditation can help you achieve the same awareness. You don't even have to do regular meditation. I have a piano book of Unadi songs, like the one I played for the offertory, that I play when I'm stressed. They help me relax to a point where I can take stock of how I'm feeling and what I'm going to do about it. Or maybe you draw, like River's Zen insert in the order of service, or Finn's flag that's beautiful up here. Maybe you do yoga like Chris, or you sing like Sparrow, or you write poetry like Jeffrey. Maybe you dance, maybe you knit. Whatever you do, though, it's all about intention. I wrote some truly mediocre college essays because I didn't care enough about it or the school to take the prompt more than face value. They were fine essays, but I didn't gain anything from them because I didn't sit out to. It's the same thing with meditation. Revelations and peace don't happen magically. You have to be intentional about working towards them. That's not to say all intentions have to be the same, though. Maybe your intention is to relax and de-stress or take your mind off something. One of the essays I wrote asked me to create my own spell like in Harry Potter. It didn't help me learn anything new, but I had a blast writing it. That essay was just as useful to me as all the deep ones because I knew what I wanted when I was writing it. What is the end result of this, though? It can be any number of things as long as you're intentional about working towards that thing. But for me, it was a piece with where I am now. Reflecting on my interest in coding made me appreciate all the work and learning I put into it and look forward to all the new experiences I'll get in college. Thinking about my legacy and role as a community member made me realize how much certain people in my life left an impact on me and the kind of impact I want to have on the people around me. It made me nostalgic for the present, if that makes sense. I appreciate everyday activities and people because I know I don't have forever with them, so I need to savor every moment. And whether you're facing a transition or not, enjoying where you are and who you're with is never a bad thing. So if you're in the garden or walking in Warner Parks, eating with your family or talking with friends, just take a moment to reflect on where you are and value how you got there. Thank you.
Our closing song this morning is number 1009 in the Turquoise Hymnal, and since we've been doing so much droning this service, we're going to start with the drone, and then we will build on that to the verse, which is in the middle section, the verse which is in the melody on the top line, and then after we've done that a couple of times, The descant part, have at it.
So now we're going to extinguish the chalice. The words to the chalice extinguishing are at the bottom of your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
May the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous that we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest so that we may give ourselves to the work of our world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move.